Okay, I guess this will be my sort of wrap-up video on the WandaVision series. I stopped reviewing the episodes because I was so angry over the Star Wars situation concerning Gina Carano. And I didn't cancel Disney Plus because there's other people dependent on my account to watch it who can't really afford to do it. And I says that Marvel and Star Wars, that was it. That's pretty much my interest in that. Plus, there's the Orville coming on Hulu, which is that's all Disney. So of course I gotta watch Orville. So I guess I could cancel it. It's all the same thing. So if I switch it out, but there again, and then the other problem is I haven't completely given up on Marvel. I see the signs that Marvel probably ended with Endgame, and but then this series came along, and the one that I was really intrigued with was Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I still sort of am. I thought that would be the no-brainer and the easier one to be the best of the batch. Maybe not. We don't know. But if they approached it like Winter Soldier, the Captain America movie, and Civil War and stuff like that, those elements that had those, because in my humble opinion, the Captain America films are the best of the MCU. So it's got a lot of stuff like that in it. Should be a pretty good series. But as we got closer to WandaVision, I was getting more and more intrigued, and then it came on and I was watching it. Well, this is interesting. It's sort of this Twilight Zone approach to this sad, tragic story of a superhero. And that element of it, they did very well. The best thing about it is the couple, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are absolutely great together. I'd love to see more of them in the future. And look, I'm spoiling everything here. That's certainly in the cards, as I think it's pretty obvious. The Vision is returning. His body exists. The data is there. And with some form or fashion, it'll recreate it. I was not up on West Coast Avengers when the comics came out, which I think this story spins off from when they got to the Vision Quest and the Wanda and Vision series and all that stuff. And where ultimately Vision died and then is resurrected, and there was the White Vision for a while. I do remember that, but I was, reading Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and stuff like that at the time. And didn't have a whole lot of money back then, and couldn't spare, even though they were so much cheaper then. But couldn't get everything. But they did take a lot more from it, and at the end she is the Scarlet Witch. She hasn't been all this time. This version they did of her, with her red fireballs shooting out of her hands, and she could sort of make you see things that aren't really there or whatever. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but they did make a clever use of it, and to incorporate the original storyline to which the one that's closer to the comics. And that the Infinity Stone did, it enhanced her, who she was, and gave her a vision. And I'm assuming that's her vision of her future self when she was, pushed by the Infinity Stone that the Hydra made her do. All that stuff. So there was a lot of good elements, but structurally and story-wise, for some characters, it didn't go over very well. The head of S.W.O.R.D., Haywood, just all of a sudden he's a heinous villain because he just has to be. That was just lazy work. If he's going to be your heinous villain, you got to set up things a lot earlier than that. Because he's really friendly with Monica. He was a friend of her mother's and all this stuff. They do show that he comes across kind of cold towards Wanda's predicament, but not totally. He's just sort of in his position that he's in. And he had an understandable position, which would make him a more interesting character there. But then just suddenly he's going to slaughter the kids, which I'm not sure he was fully aware of what the state of those children were. Were they real or were they not? And he's just going to open fire on them. Then Monica gets in the way. And he just keeps shooting, which was just to show you that, oh, she's got powers, But a great disservice and just lazy writing for that character. If he was just going to be the stupid boss who was going by the book and didn't pay attention, and it was no, she's there. Because at the beginning of it was interesting because he had a legitimate argument. I mean, Wanda was doing really terrible things. She was holding these people hostage. She was forcing them into her fantasy world. They all wanted out. And you could push it that she was so deep in her depression and her loss that she didn't understand it. So you can understand that Monica was a sympathetic voice and she was in it and she had some understanding for her and all that. But to push him that far, and that's one of those things. Speaking of pushing, it's one of those things that'll push me out of the damn story, which you do not want to do to your audience. And so it's just really bad. And then like the ending just sort of wraps up, and then Kat Dennings' character shows up. Where the hell has she been all this time? In her ice cream truck or whatever. It was just stupid. Plus, there's some cool scenery and whatnot with the battles between Agatha and Wanda, and then Vision against himself. And but I'm not all that familiar with Agatha Harkness, but I don't think she was this type of character or villainous per se. I thought she was more of a mentor to Wanda. But anyway, Wanda just figures it out very quickly on how to outfox this lady and create the runes, which she's obviously not completely understanding all of this, even though it's part of her heritage from where she came from and stuff like that. But she's not all that knowledgeable in the works of witchcraft and all that sort of stuff. But it's just quickly set it up because she's got the Darkhold book, which Darkhold, I remember, I never read it, but again, another series in Marvel I did. But as I understood it from comic magazines and whatnot, that it was kind of Marvel's attempt at doing their own Vertigo version, but it wasn't that at all. They were very superhero-y, whereas Vertigo, they would be superheroes in it, but it was very different. And for the most part, when you go into Sandman and stuff like that, it quickly gravitated away from all that. But this basically, there's this book of spells or what have you, so now there's Wanda. She's she had to give up everything. She loses Vision again. And for whatever reason, her sort of faux Vision that she recreated, he doesn't tell her that he sent the real Vision off. And realizes that all the memories and thoughts and whatnot are still within that android, and it kind of was puzzled at the moment. His eye color changed and everything, so and then he flies away. So or maybe he didn't want to get her hopes up. I don't know. That you might be able to reconnect with the Vision, but he disappears. She loses it all. The town is freed. She punishes Agatha by forcing her to be the nosy neighbor for the rest of her life. And then she runs away to go find herself. And she's living in a cabin with a fake image of herself to throw anybody off, I guess. And meanwhile, she's all looking like a horror movie character in a dark room reading the Darkhold book. And I guess that's the premise that sets her up for the Doctor Strange movie. Perhaps. As for the Quicksilver character, it's either he was nobody, no one, or he really is the alternate universe Quicksilver, or he is being used by Mephisto. Mephisto didn't show up. A lot of people guessed that he would, including myself, but he might be in the Doctor Strange film. And perhaps he is. The insinuation is that he was just Ralph Boner. And he was nobody, and he just was controlled by Agatha. He had his necklace, and once that was gone, he was free like everyone else, I guess. I don't know, but it's a bit nebulous there. But again, that doesn't mean anything. It could be that's over with. It's just kind of stupid that he's thrown in there just for that and nothing else. Because then this was just, oh boy, they're going to resolve like the Fox version of the X-Men with sort of these appearances and then move on with their own version. Or are they just going to go ahead and introduce them when they do. I don't know. There's been all these teases and rumors about what they're going to explore the multiverse. And this is stuff they've openly admitted. I mean, it's in the title of Doctor Strange's film, and that is, to some extent, the Spider-Man film will have this. Now, Tom Holland has said the other two guys, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire will not be in there. Okay, but Electro and the Green Goblin are apparently going to be in there. So there's going to be some connection. Then there's that weird Morbius movie, which seems, Michael Keaton's in it. So I don't know what's going on there, but they tease us stuff. And as far as people, because I was watching Clownfish TV and they were talking about some article where some idiot decided that WandaVision exonerates The Last Jedi because it's the same thing. And they pointed out, no, it's the exact opposite, because actually this grounds and reaffirms the character of Wanda better than the Avengers movies did, and kind of restores the character, whereas Last Jedi tore Luke Skywalker down. And as far as the subversion of expectations, this series flat out teased that this leads into Doctor Strange. So, well, I guess it does, but not the way they teased, and just little tidbits here that, Agatha warning, oh, you don't know what you've done, and that Wanda is probably shouldn't be looking into that book. It's probably going to lead her to a path she doesn't want to go. I don't know what her motivations would be at this point, since she did the righteous thing. She let go of her most fervent desire for the sake of others that were being hurt by it. But this is another thing that perhaps Mephisto would show up and say there's another way you can have it all. There's also the children, and those children represent the later versions of Wiccan, and damn, I forget the kid who was quick. He was the speedster. Was it just Speedy or something? I can't remember. The two brothers, and they're not going to abandon those. So I'm assuming that perhaps there'll be some form of fashion where she can recover her children, but the cost is too high, and Doctor Strange intervenes and they fight. And of course, Agatha mentioned that the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. So, there you go. So there was good and bad in it, but there was some sloppy stuff, and I think the ending ultimately fizzled. And it's too bad, because the actress playing Monica Rambeau was very good. I think there's a lot of potential there for her, and I'm all for her taking over the Captain Marvel title. But they really messed her up with the stupidity of the Haywood character. And then it just became kind of a cheap joke, play there. And so, I don't know. But she's just introduced so that she'll probably have a more prominent role in a future Captain Marvel film or something like that. I'm sure that's definitely where she'll end up. And then probably at the Avengers when they regroup for that with a new team. So anyway, a series that had a lot of potential, some great performances between the two stars. They make a great couple, and hopefully they'll reunite in Doctor Strange. But beyond that, it just kind of fizzles. It had some intriguing stuff that really went nowhere, and it just kind of fizzled. It's not horrible, it's not bad, but I don't think it was ultimately successful. So, but her new costume looks cool, and it's closer to she is the Scarlet Witch, so there's that. That's cool stuff. And there's yet to be told there as how they left it. So. And Doctor Strange was the one film that I was really looking forward to. The D Plus series I was intrigued by and whatnot, but the other films they've announced, I just don't really care. But Doctor Strange, I like the first one. I like Cumberbatch in the role, and so that's the one I'm holding out for. So hopefully this goes somewhere in that neck of the woods. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.